The subject of fake it till I make it, the reason that sometimes people find some effectiveness in that, let's go back to the two ways of looking at a life experience. One is under the influence of source, and the other is not under the influence of source. And so when you're under the influence of source, it all comes easily. There's no faking then. When you're not doing that thing that you usually do, which holds the cork under the water, the cork bobs to the surface. And when the cork is bobbed to the surface, that's tuned in, tapped in, turned on. That's under the influence of source, and there's no faking going on. There's just pure positive energy. And if you can maintain that for a while, meaning not introducing a resistant thought, then that momentum will get stronger and stronger and stronger, and the elation will become more and more defined and higher and better feeling. There are plenty of people who don't allow that to happen very often, and so they are measuring their degrees of happiness by the results that they get from their action or from their words. And that's where the faking it till you make it crowd is. That's where the setting goal crowd is. That's where the efforting crowd is. That's where the trying too hard crowd is. And in a world that is humans who are measuring their progress or success against other humans, most of them are only considering that group. The people that are trying the hardest are the ones that are getting the most success. And we don't disagree with that, because they try harder and they give more attention to it. But there is a much better way of going about it. And the way of going about it is by realizing that the steps are step 1, 2, 3. Step 1 is you ask. Step 2 is there becomes a vibrational reality that source tends to. And 3 is you get yourself in the receptive mode of that vibrational reality. So many people try so hard that then they get depleted and tired and discouraged, and then they come to conclusions that are flawed. They come to conclusions that they must not be worthy because they're sure giving it everything they've got, and why aren't they finding more success? And we like to give them the simple easy answer: trying too hard, faking it till you make it, taking score too soon. Those kinds of things slow you down more than speed you up. And so the confusion happens around this subject. You say to us, Abraham, we think you're schizophrenic, because sometimes you tell us to be deliberate about what we want, to be clear about what we want, to write it down or script it, or to be very deliberate in our intentions. And then you tell us to just let go, to release thought, to just allow our cork to flow, to get tuned in, tapped in, turned on. And we want to say to you that you got to know where you are to know whether you want to put your foot on the gas. If you've got control of your vehicle and you want to go really fast, then do. But if you're on tight curves on mountain passes, you might want to slow it down just a little bit. And so it's a matter of recognizing where you are in relationship to the energy that you're flowing. If you've found a way to find some blissful thought, and you just let that thought flow, and you don't contradict it with a doubt or a worry, that thought will pick up speed, and the power of that thought will manifest in your experience in a really obvious way. So how do I know? How do I know when to focus and therefore increase the momentum, and when to defocus and therefore allow the momentum to increase on its own? We want to just state it in these simple terms. If you're trying too hard, you can feel the strain of it, so cut it out. Let it go. Just say, I've gone far enough with this. But if the thought is blissful, then play it out as far as it can go. It really is you getting sensitive to how you feel in the process. When you feel strain, you're not helping yourself. When you feel ease, you are. It really is that simple. The most important thing in this conversation is that once you've tapped into this energy that's creating worlds, and you all do it often, and wonderful things begin flowing, you have a tendency, lovely humans, who are here to manifest. It's part of why you're here. You want to see thoughts turning to things. You want to stop and take score, and that's the moment that you begin introducing resistance into the equation. everything, every empire, every magnificent relationship, every extraordinary thing that anyone has ever created in this physical environment has been almost all accomplished. 99.9999, almost all accomplished in the vibrational state before you get the first brick in place or hire the first employee. You are getting most of it done through the leverage of energy flowing. And then the action is meant to be the way you enjoy what you've set into motion. Humans have it backward. They want to use their action to make it happen. And because they're demanding more leverage out of the action than the action has the power to give them, then they get tired and depleted. And then they judge themselves not worthy as they look at others who seem to be trying far less, who are getting way more. Is this making sense to you? You want to use the leverage of the energy that creates worlds, but before you do that, you got to tap into it. So sometimes people say, well, Abraham, you know, it seems like you teach selfishness. And we say, we do. If you are not selfish enough to care about how you feel, and you're not selfish enough to master the way you feel, so that you consistently tap into this energy, then you have nothing to give anyone anyway. But if you're selfish enough to guide your thoughts in a way that you allow the universe to rain down upon you the things that you're asking for, then from that place of stability, you have plenty to give others. You can't get sick enough to help sick people get well, or poor enough to help poor people become prosperous, or confused enough to help people who are confused become clear-minded. You have to be in the energy of that clarity and that well-being and that power before you have anything to give anyone. Which means you got to learn to focus yourself there, which means you got to pay attention to the way you feel, which means you got to go in the direction of your inner being who always feels good. So if someone were really wanting something and their mindset is, it isn't happening, would we encourage them to just try harder? No, we'd encourage them to take a nap or meditate or do something, because the struggle just gets bigger. Whatever your current situation is, while you focus it, it gets bigger. Within 16 or 17, we used to say 17, now it's moving towards 16. Within 16, 17 seconds, a thought like it joins it. So if you hold a thought for as little as 16 seconds, another thought like it joins it, and momentum is underway, which makes it more likely that another thought like it will join it, and another and another. And once it gets a little over a minute, you've got enough momentum going that you're probably not going to be able to stop it. You're probably going to have to let it play out before you get another reprieve and you set your thoughts in the direction of your own determination. And this is really the point that we're making. It's recognizing, have I gotten out far enough ahead of it that this is a likely time for me to tap into that? Because if it's not a likely time for me to tap into that, then I'm faking it till I make it, or I'm efforting too much. And in all of that, I'm just making it worse. You see what we're getting at? But if I'm aware of how I feel, and I've been caring about how I feel, and I've been taking baby steps, so to speak, about feeling good, so I am getting out ahead of it. You help because your expectation is that something good's going to happen here. It's why you're here. When Esther stands at the podium, it just takes seconds for her to just let go of everything, and her vibration just becomes equivalent to the vibration of us. You saw something that doesn't happen very often, in fact maybe never, where as Esther is let go and is allowing us, she thinks of something, and when she did, she felt the sort of resistance in the energy, because her human thought is resistant to her non-physical thought. Can you sort of get what we're talking about? When Esther allows Abraham to flow purely through her, there's no resistance in that. Sometimes people will say, can I give you a hug? And if it's the last conversation before a segment of refreshment, often we just give into it and allow it to happen. But usually we say, not a good idea, because it's disruptive to Esther's energy. You can see why. So this whole conversation is about understanding my readiness to put my foot on the gas. Yes? And if you're not tuned in, tapped in, turned on, then don't do it. There are a lot of people who practice working hard. There are a lot of people who practice sacrifice. There are a lot of people that practice struggle. And while they get results in relationship to others that are practicing the same sort of struggle, they don't get the success that they really want, which is this sublime bliss. So you got to know what you're feeling for, don't you? You got to know that you're feeling for relief, you're feeling for ease, you're feeling for flow, and eventually you're feeling for power. But don't feel for power before you've found ease. Don't try to get the power from the universe until you've eased yourself into knowing that you are up to speed with it. Does that make sense to you? Through life as you live it, and you can't stop it. Life is continuing to come to you as you are offering your vibration. So wherever you are, and it's fine. Wherever you are. In other words, it is what it is, and what it is being demonstrated in the moment. Yes? Whatever you're living has caused an escalation, an evolution of your vortex. So step 1, step 2, and source is all over that. Now step 3 is you got to find some way of not resisting that. So trying too hard resists that. It makes that bigger. If you keep up the struggle, then you keep asking for more, and the more gets bigger, and you get called in a stronger way. But if you keep living life pretty much the same way and asking for more, and then not adjusting your vibration upward by meditation and bliss and lists of positive aspects and rampages of appreciation and quieting your mind, if you're not doing any of those things that allow your vibration to raise, you're just asking for more and more and more, then you're just increasing the tension on your tug of war, you see, until eventually some really strong desire is born within you that goes something like, I'm just going to give up control because I don't have any actual physical activity, bang it into place with my words control. And so, yes, that's exactly what we would encourage you to do. Do your best to find the best feeling thought that you can find. But beyond that, we've been talking like this for a long time. You could write the books. You are writing the books. You know about this law of attraction thing. But today we're offering you something with greater definition. And that is the power of non-resisted thought. And it's time for the likes of you to cash in your vibrational chips and start utilizing your power. And your power is evidenced by your bliss. Your power is evidenced by your ease, by your clarity, not by your struggle and sacrifice. And so you don't need to keep struggling in order to goose that up. Oh, you will continue to goose it up. Esther put new stuff in it this weekend. You will continue to goose it up. But now your emphasis, if you are wise as you are, is maybe I ought to just chill and stop the struggle and start trusting myself more and let myself be blessed and expect good things to come to me. And when I have thoughts that are contrary to that, do my best to let them go, or at least not let them get a big foothold right now, and just use the power of my ability to focus myself into thoughts like, I love you, or Source loves me, or Source loves you, or well-being abounds, or there's goodness everywhere, or look at that rainbow, or look at those flowers, or look at that little dog. Any thought that's of interest, any thought that brings pleasure, any thought of satisfaction. Do you think you're nice to yourself? Could be nicer, couldn't you? Do you know one of the nicest things that you could do for yourself is to find something about somebody that you appreciate? That's one of the nicest things that you can do for yourself. Isn't that tricky? Feels like you're doing it for them. It's the nicest thing you can do for you.